G'day friends, back again. It's been a little while and a lot has happened since we last spoke, especially in the world of crypto. So we're basically in the moment at an all-time high for Bitcoin, and a lot of people are starting to think they missed out. They didn't get in early enough. It's too expensive to get in now, and the FOMO is real, the fear of missing out. But let me assure you that it's still early. I'm not saying go and buy Bitcoin, even though I'm not telling you not to buy it. It's just that I'm not really buying any Bitcoin. But for Bitcoin to double or triple in the next year or two would not be surprising. But if you know my channel, and going a little way back, I'm not mostly excited about Bitcoin. There are other technologies within the distributed ledger technology world that I'm much more interested in, and in particular one and only, and that is Hedera Hashgraph. And the reason that I'm mostly excited about Hedera Hashgraph is because of the Hashgraph. The Hashgraph is a decentralized distributed ledger technology that is the most distributed and the most decentralized in its finished form. So that's the reason why there's any value at all to Bitcoin. It's because of the distributed ledger. The distributed ledger is where the power is. Now, Bitcoin wasn't a bad first try at distributing ledgers, but since Bitcoin was invented, a totally different way of distributing ledgers has been invented, and that is what's called Hashgraph. And the Hashgraph is the most efficient, fastest, and most secure and fair way of distributing a ledger. This is what people need to understand. And it's only a matter of time until the world and business, the economy, and individuals adopt the Hashgraph technology in order to process their transactions. Because Bitcoin, it's not the most efficient way to do it, and nor fastest, nor most secure. It's just that it was the first way. And it's kind of like, there's so many analogies, with technology. I mean, in vehicles, in motor cars, you have the drum brake, okay? When Carl Benz invented the first car, you've probably seen it. It's like a tricycle with a little motor on it. Then someone invented drum brakes, and then every car had the drum brakes. So Bitcoin's kind of like drum brakes. But then I think it was 1955, and Jaguar, the motor car company Jaguar at Le Mans, first brought out the disc brake. And so the disc brake, if anyone knows about basic mechanics, is a far superior braking system than the drum brake. And so during the 50s and 60s, you found cars beginning to bring disc brakes into their front wheels, where most of the pressure's taken when it comes to braking. And then in the 70s, you started seeing more and more cars, even more sort of cars for the common man, coming with front disc brakes. And of course, in the 80s and 90s, you see cars with all 4 disc brakes. And now you don't see cars with drum brakes anymore because they don't really work that well. as compared to disc brakes. And you see cars with bigger discs and bigger calipers and, anti-lock function. But the basic disc brake is the brake that is used for cars because it is probably the most effective, efficient way. And Hashgraph is kind of like the disc brake of crypto, where you're going to find that there's going to be certain applications. In fact, in future, all applications that happen online will not be able to function without the properties that the Hashgraph algorithm produces. In particular, ABFT, asynchronous Byzantine fault tolerance. Number two, finality, which is a part of that, where each transaction is final, mathematically proven, whereas the blockchain technologies can't produce math-proof finality. It's all probabilistic, which means there's the possibility of double spending, which is going to be just unacceptable in the future. So there's ABFT security, where there's no chance of a hack or a crash. There is final transactions. There is fairness, which means whoever pushes the button first, that's who goes first. Other blockchains can't guarantee that because there's no fair ordering. And the main one is the distributed nature of the Hashgraph, because it's so efficient, whereas each transaction is thousands of times more economical than even the Visa network, and multiple millions and millions and millions of times more efficient than Bitcoin or any or most of the blockchain networks. What that means, because it's so electrically economical in its transactions, the reason it is because each transaction, because of the Hashgraph, because of the elegance of the compute, that each transaction can be handled on a cell phone. Whereas, such as a Bitcoin, you need these humongous mining rigs just to process transactions. So when each transaction on the distributed ledger is able to be handled in an individual cell phone, which no other networks can do that, let alone the quality of the transactions being ABFT in each individual single transaction can be handled on a cell phone at Hedera Hashgraph, that is game over, because that's pure distributed, decentralized technology where each individual has a part to play in that distributed ledger. You see, that's game over, and that's the future. And Hedera is working towards that. Yes, there's going to be 40 main nodes, which are international, multinational, multi-billion dollar, multinational. Like when I say multinational, they're all in every continent of the world. Right now, that's the first step. Then it's going to move into community nodes. Then the final step is permissionless nodes, where each individual can perform work and be compensated, by the way, in the distributed ledger computations. That's where it ends, and that is what will make Hedera Hashgraph the most ubiquitous decentralized ledger technology in the world. And that's a few years down the track, but point is, don't be afraid to get in now. It's still very, very, very early, and Bitcoin's about to go to all new all-time highs, I should say, and the altcoins, including Hedera, will follow. But it's still, and a lot of this has been fueled, obviously, by the ETFs and BlackRock and all these funds jumping in. Basically, retail investors are going to have access to, and all kinds of investors are going to have access to this. Basically, this new investment system. And Hedera Hashgraph is only one of many cryptos that are going to benefit, but long term, the technology of the Hashgraph will rise, and the technology will be necessary to perform the transactions and computation that Web3 will demand. And only the Hashgraph will be able to do these because of the speed. It's thousands and thousands and thousands of times more economical than even the most green proof of work, proof of stake networks out there, let alone the proof of work. Proof of work is way too expensive. But even the most economical proof of stake networks, the Hashgraph is thousands of times more economically, electrically than those, and even in terms of speed. So this is what people are going to want to power their apps in the future of Web3. So look more into it. Just go to Hedera Hashgraph website, or scroll back to some of my other videos. But just to give you some bit of confidence that you're still early, and not financial advice, but Hedera Hashgraphs I think are still around 15 cents, and you're still very, very early. So that's where I see the future. And yeah, put a comment in the bottom if you tend to agree. But anyway, bullish on Hedera, and until next time, peace.